Alright, what's up guys? The chicken here with another video, and today I'm going to be doing a tutorial on how to make a gear in Fusion 360 by Autodesk. Now, I'm actually trained in SolidWorks, so if I make any mistakes or slip-ups, I apologize. I'm not entirely familiar with this, but we'll just kind of take it as it goes. Anyway, this is kind of what we're going to be making is going to look like. So, without any further ado, let's just jump right into it. Alright, so the first thing you're going to do is you're going to want to create a sketch surface, and that is going to be our XY plane. So you're going to create a sketch, and now we're going to start creating the shape of the gear. Gear is roughly a circle, so we're going to start with a circle. We can dimension that. The number we choose can be completely arbitrary, but we're going to go with 150. Just because that seems pretty good. Alright, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add the teeth. Now to do that, we're going to need some construction geometry, so we're going to start with a line and just work our way down. Alright, and we can make that construction. Alrighty, now what we're going to do is we're going to zoom in on this top part, because that's where our first tooth is going to be. And we're once again going to make a line. It's got to be coincident. And this one's going to be horizontal. This last one also has to be coincident. Now, as you can tell, these three lines over here are blue, or a light blue, which indicates that they're not fully defined. The circle here is black because it has been fully defined. So now we're going to take the time to fully define this sketch. So we're going to select these two, these opposite sides, and we want them to be symmetrical. One easy way to do that is to make them equal. Alright, so now that they're equal, the next thing we have to do is we have to make this one a specified length. We'll make that 10 millimeters. And now, of course, we need to dimension the angle here so that they're both sticking out at the same respective angle to this center line. And that's where our construction geometry comes in. So we're just going to dimension by clicking the first line and then the center line. We can make that, once again, arbitrary. 7 degrees sounds pretty close to what it already is. Do the same thing here. 7 degrees. Alright, that is not what we wanted. So let's see if there's one other thing we can do to make this work. Like I said, I'm not entirely familiar with this, so you're gonna have to bear with me. I'm sorry. Alright, so I'm just going to delete this. We're going to see if we can get what we want this way. So we're going to grab a line. I'm going to do this again. This time we're going to dimension the angle first. Hopefully that'll do something. set these two equal. The final thing is we'll dimension this. We can make that 8. Alright, perfect. And so now we have all 3 lines completely black, which means they're fully defined. Alrighty. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create a circular sketch pattern so that we don't have to keep drawing it over and over again. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to go to the drop-down menu for Create and select Circular Sketch Pattern. For objects, we're going to select the 3 lines we just drew. And for our center point, we're going to select the origin. You can also select it right over here. Alright, and as you can see, 2 others have appeared because the quantity is 3. So we're going to set a different quantity. We can go with 19. That gives us quite a few. Not quite enough. Let's go with a nice even 24. Alright. So now we have our gear. So the next thing we're going to do is we're just going to cut out each of these. So we can select the trim tool. And this way we have a solid shape with no overlapping lines. Alright, perfect. So now we have our basic gear shape. We can go ahead and finish the sketch. Now we can extrude our shape. You can do 1 side or 2 sides. For this example, we're going to be doing 2 sides. We'll make it fairly thick, 5 millimeters on each side. And if we take a look, we now have a gear that is bisected by the XY plane. Alright, so now that we've done that, we're going to want to create a hole for an axle or a motor to rest in the gear so that it can turn. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to select our select tool, select the surface of the gear, not that. Alright, and then we're going to create sketch on that surface. Now, to create a hole with a key, we can just go ahead and make a circle, and then draw 3 lines just like we did with the gear knobs, whatever these are called, the spurs. Okay, now that we've done that, we can start lining out constraints. So the first thing is we're going to dimension the circle. It's a nice even 40, so I'll keep that. And now we can dimension this top piece. Make that 10. Alright. And now this does not have the vertical. Okay, that's not going to work, so we'll just do that. All right, and then the last thing is we can dimension this line right here. And we'll make that 5, nice and short. Okay, the final thing we're going to do is we're going to take our trim tool and trim that line out. We can finish our sketch. All right, and what you should have is something like this. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to extrude once again, but this time we are going to extrude cut. So it's going to be one side, and it's going to be negative the distance that is the thickness of the gear. So in this case, I'm sorry, I just hit the mic. That's going to be 10. And as you can see in the preview, we can see through completely the gear. See completely through the gear, I'm sorry. And it automatically selects the operation to cut. So we select OK. And now we have a keyhole for our gear. And if you want to, you could end this right here. But now we're going to take it one more step, and we're going to design our gear a little bit. So one feature you might want to add to your gear, we're going to select the select tool, is profile curves on either surface, perhaps to save on material cost, whatever it is. So you're going to sketch on the surface of the gear. So you can select the surface, just like you did for the keyhole, right, create sketch. Now this is going to be very easy. Just create 2 concentric circles centered around the origin. And in case you're wondering, it locks on the origin. We can dimension both of these so that they're fully defined. And then we can exit the sketch. Now we can also do an extruded cut of this section, and it will be one side a negative distance, let's say -3, because we'll be doing this on either side, so it should be less than half the thickness. I'm sorry, 30 is too much. And if you'd like, you can add a taper angle. For this, I'll be doing it for the demonstration purpose, but you don't have to do this. And this will simply introduce a taper to the surface of the gear, kind of like a beveled edge. Now it's important to remember to make this number negative right here for the angle. I forget to do it all the time, but by making the number negative, you basically indicate the direction of the taper. So we can select OK. And this is how the surface of the gear looks now. Much better. Alright, so now we want to add this to the other side. Well, we don't have to do the whole thing over again. We don't even have to remember our dimensions. All you have to do is select the Create dropdown and choose Mirror. Then for objects, you can select your cut extrude that you just did. And for the mirror plane, now this is why we drew and extruded in 2 directions. You can just select the XY plane. When you select OK on the other side, the exact same cut should appear. Alright, the last feature we're going to do for this gear is we're going to bevel the edge, the outside edge. The way I like to do this is take a perpendicular plane and create a sketch. We can draw a line. This one will be construction geometry. And we're going to take it just outside of the edge of the gear. Alright, I'm going to make that construction geometry. Alright, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to draw a line vertically and then horizontally. And if you'd like, you can introduce a curve. You can also do another line. Since we haven't done a curve, I'm going to add an arc. That's what I meant to say, arc. So we're going to do a 3-point arc, just like that. Alright, and the final thing we can do is we can dimension these. So we can make this 50. Make this a little bit shorter. Maybe 5. Alright. We can take this, make this 100. Just like that, it's fully defined. So we can finish our sketch. Now we're going to use the revolve feature. Instead of a revolve new body, it's going to generate a cut. We can see that our sketch has already been pre-selected because we just finished it. So we're going to select our axis, which is going to be this one, the Z-axis. And it already knows it's going to be a cut. So we just finish with OK. And as you can see, it now has a nice curved edge. And we can copy this onto the other side the same way we created this beveled edge on the inside. So we can click the Create drop-down menu and mirror this feature across the same plane, the XY plane. And when you select OK, you can see that both edges are beveled. Alright, so that's it for how to create a gear. This is what I have so far. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comments below. And if you like this kind of content, be sure to like, comment, and maybe subscribe. Alright, thanks so much for checking me out. Have a great day.